Trust. Trust is going to be our topic for discussion today. But as you know, before we begin, you know the drill. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, so when the video comes up, you know we got it here for you and your enjoyment. And thank you to my 37, I think. Let me see. Yes, 37 subscribers. Without you, I wouldn't be here, because what would be the point? And I know you guys and girls want something different out of life. You're not complying. You're not a conformist. You have your own mind and you think for yourself. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here. You would be annoyed as hell about what I say. But with that being said, if what I say annoys you at one time, there's something inside of you that is reflecting back to you from me that you don't want to accept about yourself. That's something I learned in my 62 years of life. Also, check out my books on Amazon, Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels, and The Power is Within. Check me out on Instagram if you're watching this on YouTube at Mark's Inspiration. And if you would like to get my help personally, marksinspiration.com. You can book a consultation there. I don't like the term, a life coach. I consider myself a guide or a mentor, or I guess over in Europe they use the word sponsor. But I enjoy helping people, and I would love to help you if you would like to get my help. One more thing, and what was that? I have one other place I need to tell you about, but I seem to have forgotten it. So let's get on with the topic. Let's get on with the topic, trust. The reason I'm thinking about this today is when everything seems like it's going to hell, or when everything seems like it's not going your way, what do you do? Do you fret? Do you worry? Do you complain? I've done it all. What do you do? Well, I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to trust. Trust in God, trust in yourself, trust in your higher power, your higher self, divinity, nature, the universe. Trust that everything is going to work out somehow. When I was 16, I used to work for this guy that was 76 years old. And we were driving home one night, and well, it was in the afternoon, it wasn't the evening yet, about 4:30. And the wind had been blowing all day, and it was fall, and the leaves were all gone, but the wind was still blowing very hard. And he said, "Mark, look at this." He said, "This all is made to work. In the fall, the wind blows and knocks off all the leaves and all the dead limbs. So when spring gets here, there's plenty of room for the new leaves and the new branches to grow back out." And he went on and talked about how everything is made to work. And we don't have to put out any effort to get that to work. It just works for us. There's plenty of food in the world for everyone, plenty of water in the world for everyone. There is no lack. You and I, humanity has created lack through our greed, our fear of not having enough, our fears. If there's a devil, it should be fear and doubt. So people and organizations and companies accumulate great masses of wealth and products because they're afraid, because they want more, because they're greedy. And I'm sure we've all experienced greed in our lives. I know I have. So I'm not pointing the finger at anyone or any corporation or any business, but these are the things that, motivate people to allow other people in the world to starve and to suffer from thirst. And I don't know how many people die every day from hunger and clean drinking water. They don't have clean drinking water. It's hard to grasp that unless you've been out into third world countries. I mean, it's one thing to see it on TV. It's another thing to experience it in reality. But this goes on every day, unbeknownst to most people who live in first world countries. But back to the topic, it's much easier for us who live here in this paradise to trust, but yet we don't trust. If things don't work out good, let's say we lose our job. Maybe it's the best job we think we can get. Maybe we don't think we can find another job as good as that one. Maybe you don't really like the job, or you didn't like the job because now you're gone for whatever reason. You got fired, laid off, whatever. You can piss and moan about it, or you can try to see it as a, how do I say, as a pathway or a opportunity for you to find something better. But too many times we look at the, what if I can't get another job? What if I lose my house? What if I can't make my car payment? What if I can't make the mortgage payment? What if? You could just as easily turn that around and say, what if I get a better job? What if I get some unexpected money? But most people don't do that because we're programmed with negativity from the time we're born, usually through the news media, social media, friends, family, whoever. And mostly not because they want to program you with negativity, but because they're concerned about you. They don't want you to be hurt, so they try to protect you, when in reality they're not protecting you at all. They're actually imprinting negativity on you, so you have a tendency to look at things in life through a negative lens. But what if everything was happening to you right now, if you don't like what's happening, was happening for your good? Let me tell you a little story about a Chinese man thousands of years ago. He had some sons and he was working on the farm. One of his sons was out in the fields tending to the sheep, maybe. All of a sudden he saw a herd of wild horses. And he was able to capture the greatest and the best stallion out of all of them. So he brought it home to his father. And as he was approaching his father, the neighbor man was there talking with his father. And the neighbor man said, "Man, isn't this great? Your son got that beautiful stallion." And the old man says, the father of the boy says, "Well, I don't know if it's good or bad." And the neighbor man thinks, "Oh, okay, whatever, it's kind of strange." So the next day, the son was out riding the horse, and the horse threw him, and he fell off and broke his ankle. And again, the old neighbor man had come by and said, "Man, that's just too bad. Your son broke his ankle, and now he can't walk and help you on the farm." And the old Chinese father says, "Well, who knows what's good or bad?" And then once again, the neighbor thinks, what the hell's wrong with this old man? His son broke his ankle, and he doesn't think that's bad? What is he, a narcissist? Well, I'm not sure if he said that. I just threw that in. Okay, so the next day, the Chinese warlords came by and were forcefully recruiting for soldiers. And guess what? The son couldn't go because his ankle was broke. They couldn't use him. So he didn't have to go fight on the front and probably get massacred. So the old neighbor was over there once again. And he said, "Well, isn't that great? Your son didn't have to go to war. It's a good thing he broke his ankle. Isn't that good?" And the old father once again said, "Who knows what's good or bad?" I think you probably get the message. I know if you're watching me, you're intelligent enough to figure out what the deal is there. We don't know what's good or bad. But too many times we look at something and we think, how can this be good? This is terrible. But there's good in everything, and life is happening for you, not to you. If you have a destination, if you have goals and dreams, and you're putting out effort, whatever that may be, to reach those goals and dreams. Excuse me. I'm not talking about working your ass off, although maybe you have to sometimes, if you're intuitively nudged to do that. I'm talking about having a vision, having a goal, having a purpose, and thinking about that every day. Something, a worthy goal or ideal. As Earl Nightingale said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. And when you have that and you're moving in that direction, whatever action you may be inspired to take, when things look like they're not working good or they're going to hell, that's happening for you. You can't see the big picture, as I said, but there's a part of you, or God, however you choose to believe, that can see that. And it knows exactly how to get you there, how to build your character and integrity, so when you get there, you won't destroy everything and self-sabotage. And this is what you have to trust. It's difficult, I know, especially when you have that knot in your stomach, you can't sleep at night, you don't know how things are going to work out, you have a family depending on you, you're not sure where your next paycheck is coming from, or where the next money is going to come in, where you're going to get the next client. And maybe you even run your ass off trying to make that happen and nothing seems to be working. These are testing times. These are times that build your character and integrity. Because if you have a big dream and a big vision, such as I do, you need that to be able to handle the success, the fame, the attention, the haters, all of it. Many people look at successful people and they think, boy, he's so lucky. They don't know the sleepless nights, the anguish they had to try to push down during the day, the fear, the apprehensions, maybe some regret over mistakes, missed opportunities, etc. All they see is the success and they call the man lucky. Well, you make your own luck by the thoughts you continue to dominantly think about in your mind. What is your dominant mode of thinking today? Is it lack? Is it fear? Is it negativity? You have to cooperate with the powers that be, which is the powers of the universe. Not the government. Well, follow the laws or you may get in trouble. But follow the dictates of that moral compass which you have within yourself. You know what's right and what's wrong. And what may be right and okay for you to do may not be okay for me. So we can't judge other people because everybody has been raised up in different situations. And what is okay for you to do today, if you're growing, may not be okay for you to do in a year from now or 5 years from now. The road truly does get narrower if you're trying to grow spiritually, metaphysically, or in character and integrity. As it should. You are an expanding being. Everything in the universe is expanding, and so are you. As I said yesterday, if you're not expanding, you're contracting, which leads to depression. And we have many, many people here in the U.S. that are suffering, suffering from depression because we have such a comfortable, safe society that there's no adversity. A man has to seek out challenge and adversity. As we're 100 or 150 years ago, every day he was facing adversity just to survive in certain parts of the U.S., even here. But today, you could sit in your house, you don't have to work, and the government will take care of you. Now, you may not have the luxurious life you would like, but compared to many people in the world, I would say most people in the world, you're living like a king. Unless you've been to third world countries and see how people live in these impoverished places, you don't really understand that, but you are. I have people on my street that don't work. To me, they look like they're able to work. I don't know their situation, so I can't judge them, but they look like they could work. Okay, so they don't do anything. They have housing, they have food, they make it. In other countries, if you don't work, you don't eat. And of course, we know if you don't eat, what happens? You starve, you don't survive. Not so here in the U.S. Just 2 blocks up the street, there's a food pantry up there. And every Friday, I think I see all kinds of cars up there and many people getting food. And I don't see, I'm sure there's a few, maybe. I don't see any really thin, underweight people up there, as you see in other countries where they don't have food pantries, where they actually need food pantries. I also see most of the people driving to get there. In many parts of the world, most of the people don't have automobiles. I don't know what the stats are, but a few years back I looked and it was like 80% or 85% of the people in the world don't have automobiles. You have to fact check me on that because I'm not sure if that's the right amount today, because the world is more prosperous now than it's ever been. And us here in the U.S., we live in one of the most prosperous nations that have ever been dreamed of since the beginning of time. So if you're here in the U.S. and you're not making it, it's because you're not doing it. You're not taking the action, or you're not thinking right, or you're not visualizing right, or you're not. And if you're not, and you grew up in a situation where maybe you were beaten, maybe you were abused, maybe your parents talked bad to you and you feel like you're nothing, you are something. And if you're an adult now, it's up to you to change that. I don't care what they said to you. I heard those things when I was growing up. You can be whatever you want to be. You're not limited by what your parents told you. Did they tell you that you're stupid, or that you don't have enough sense to pound sand in a rat hole? I heard that one. Or that you don't have the sense you were born with, or that you can't do anything right, you're never going to amount to nothing. I heard all those, and it did affect me. But when you become an adult, you can program yourself to be what you desire to be. You're not limited, as I said, by the limits your parents, your teachers, or anybody put upon you. One of the things my father heard, one of the things I heard, one of the things they tell my children in school till this day is, if you don't graduate, if you don't get that high school education, you'll not get a good job. Well, I don't have a good job. I work for myself. I'm an entrepreneur. My kids work for me. I don't really want them to get a good job. I want them to make their own way. Now, I have one son who's going to work at a factory next week. It's a great job. Maybe that's his path. And that's okay. We have to allow our children to live their lives and to walk down their path. That's not my path, but he's going to find out. Each of you have a destination. You have a journey. You have a vision within you. You have a desire within you. And until you figure out what that is and head in that direction, you won't know what fulfillment is as a man. I'm not a woman. I can't speak for women, but I can speak for men. Men get fulfillment from the journey, from moving towards their desires, their destinations, the desires they have deep within them. Maybe sometimes you think, I can't afford that. I can never do that. And you're afraid to even head toward it because it seems so outlandish. But it's not. What's the worst thing that can happen? You can fail. The opposite of that is you cannot try and lead a life of quiet desperation, which is what the famous quote by Thoreau, I think it was him, or was it Herbert Spencer? I'll have to look that up. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation because they're not pursuing their God-given desire which lies deep within them. They push it down and justified and rationalize the fact that they can't do that they have to stay at this job, they have a family to support. They're going to do it after they get out of high school, after they get out of college, after they get established, after they get enough money in the bank. And the list goes on ad infinitum. And once they get old and it's too late to even do it, they wish they had tried something. They look back over their life and they have no memories to speak of. That's all you have when you get older, is your memories. Who is the king of the nursing home? I have a friend, he says the king of the nursing home is the man who has the most memories. There you go. Not that I want to end up in a nursing home, and I made sure my parents didn't end up there. But I understand sometimes that's unavoidable. But your memories. I have many failures, many defeats, many humiliating experiences, many fearful experiences, many victories, many successes, and I can sit here and contemplate on those, and the feeling of gratitude wells up within me. It's just overwhelming in a wonderful sort of way. Had I not taken all those chances and those risks, which may have seemed foolish at the time, I would not have had such an adventurous life. Check out my book on Amazon and you'll see what I'm talking about. People admire my life, and I'm talking about people who have successful companies with millions of dollars. I couldn't see it. And that's why I wrote the book, because other people kept telling me, your life should be a movie, you should write a book. But when you experience it, it just seemed normal to me. But after I wrote the book and looking at it through other people's eyes, I could see why, because they never knew what was going to happen. I knew what happened. I knew what was going to happen. Now that I look back on it, I didn't when I was in the middle of it. But to them, it's like when I tell the story, they wonder how I'm going to get out of this mess I got myself into, or how this is going to work out. And it all worked out. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for those difficult times, those times when people were, the haters, were trying to throw me in jail with false accusations. I mean, I could go on and on about it, but you'd be better off to read the book. Did I trust during all those times? No, I didn't. but I put one foot in front of the other and I kept moving forward. But looking back in retrospect, that shows me that I don't know what's good for me all the time. Most people think they know, but you don't. We don't know what's good or bad. It's only when you look back that you can see. We can't see the big picture. You can't see, who was it? Steve Jobs talked about the puzzle. We can't see how the puzzle goes together until we look back and it's already put together. That's not quite how he said it. But in retrospect, there's another old saying we have: hindsight is 20/20. But when you're in the middle of the crap, you can't see anything usually except the crap. It's hard to smell the roses when you're swimming in a pile of crap. It really is. So, but remember, when you're in that pile of crap, trust that you are right where you're supposed to be, and somehow, some way, this is molding you into the man that you need to be to achieve the success that you desire. And you are successful today if you have a worthy goal, ideal, dream, or vision. Take care. Have a great day.